All right, guys, what's up? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And today we are going to be talking about the greatest achievement that I've personally seen and heard of that has ever been accomplished in a video game that I personally know of. And I've been gaming for 33 years, and over the last 12 to 13 years or so, I've been educated a lot more in terms of gaming culture throughout the years, even during the times that I first played games that I didn't even know existed, and different cultures and different things that people were doing that I had no idea about. I found out a lot about that through YouTube, not just by playing a lot of games growing up, but also through YouTube. You kind of realize that, wow, this existed. I didn't even know people were doing this back when, I was gaming at first when I was younger. And of course, you find out things about the competitive side of gaming in terms of multiplayer shooters. You find out about speedrunners. You find out about these very small pieces of the gaming community that go way far and way beyond in terms of what a game expects you to do. So in other words, you've got games out there like Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, which a lot of people in the comment section on my main channel have told me that that's like the hardest game they've ever played. And for them to complete that is one of their proudest gaming achievements. There's definitely been hard games throughout there. And I've heard of people that have beaten and 100%ed games on the hardest difficulty levels without dying a single time and stuff like that. Games like, let's say, Doom Eternal on Ultra Nightmare mode without dying. Very impressive. And there's also been people that have, beaten Remnant 2 on the hardest difficulties and stuff like that with very weak builds that basically can get through the game and basically not die. I don't know about not taking a hit, but in terms of not dying, again, that is another impressive accomplishment as well, right? But for me personally, this one here that we're going to be talking about today in detail is my personal number one. Some of you guys might disagree. Some of you guys might obviously hold it in high regard as one of the best ever. But to me personally, this is what I would consider the highest ever, especially since I am very familiar with the game that I am talking about now, and that is Ninja Gaiden 2 and Ninja Gaiden 2 Vanilla. So what I mean by that is the original version of Ninja Gaiden 2 that came out for the Xbox 360 back in 2008. And this achievement that this gentleman here did, who goes by Seraphim17, and I apologize if I mispronounced that, but what he managed to do was not only beat the game on the hardest difficulty level, and not only did he beat the hardest difficulty, the game on the hardest difficulty level without dying, but he beat the game on the hardest difficulty level without dying and without taking a single hit. And this includes chip damage. So there was no chip damage done. And on top of that, not only did he record all the footage to have it on here for people to see, but what he also did was he did it on stream, which obviously adds even more pressure. And what makes this even more impressive is that this accomplishment did not get achieved until 12 years after the initial release of the game. So in other words, this video was uploaded 5 years ago, and I'm pretty sure it was uploaded pretty much, within a day or so after the stream went down, because I know that if I achieved something like this or something even close to this, and if I was recording, you can bet your ass that I would put it up on my channel. I don't care if it's, something different from what I usually post or whatever. If I had accomplished something like that, you'd see it. So this to me, and again, like I said, I am very familiar with the game because I did beat the game on the regular difficulty. On the harder difficulty, that was the next level up, which I think was called Warrior, I think. No, did not beat it. And then there's a very hard level, and then there's a Master Ninja level, which is what he did it on. So, and I'm actually very familiar with Ninja Gaiden Black, because with Ninja Gaiden Black on the original Xbox, I personally have beaten the game on all the difficulty levels except Master Ninja. And with Master Ninja, I couldn't even get past the first boss. Go figure. And I'd beaten the game 4 previous times, and I had, I had gotten better with it. I was definitely familiar with it. But on top of that, there was no way I could even beat those games without dying. It's like no matter how good I got at the game and how much I persisted, and even though I accomplished what I accomplished, I went through dying quite a lot in that game. But to see things to this extent is absolutely insane. And one of the reasons why I say that is because the game is, well, first of all, the developer of the game, the director, Tomonobu Itagaki actually stated once, and I remember reading about this or seeing a video on this, to where he said that only maybe 1,000 people in the world would be able to beat the game on the hardest difficulty level, right? So not only does this guy go the extra mile of not dying a single time in accomplishing that, but he also like did it without taking a single hit, okay, including chip damage. So and the game is actually designed, obviously on the harder difficulty levels, the game is much cheaper, and the game is absolutely designed to like, there's attacks that you're not even going to see coming. So in other words, you have to literally experience the cheapness and being on the receiving end of dying to that cheapness so many times and in so many different scenarios, and play the game God knows how many times, and like to be able to accomplish something like this. Because when you don't see things coming and you get hit anyway, that just goes to show you that you actually need to be a few steps ahead, but there's no reaction time, there's no reflexes, there's no sound that goes off that basically gives you a cue a split second right before you're supposed to get hit, right? No. With this game, a lot of the stuff were very random. Everything from the bad guy ninjas that are throwing incendiary shuriken at you from angles that you won't even see coming, that can happen in less than a split second, and by the time you're that those things attached to you, you're pretty much hit. So to be able to literally get to a point to where you're moving out of the way before that even happens, in where you're literally getting no cue or no hint that it's coming, and it could all be random from one gameplay to another, really just shows how much dedication it actually takes to achieve something like this, which is one of the reasons why I personally put it in my number one. Because quite frankly, as a former martial artist, because I used to be a martial artist and I also used to teach, and I was very, very, very dedicated to my craft. It's at that time, it took about 10 years out of my life total in terms of how much time I had invested in the art. Teaching was about 7 years or whatnot, and I was a very, very dedicated student first, and obviously a very, very dedicated and seasoned instructor as well. So I have a very good idea of what it takes to be able to become literally proficient in something, and just how many repetitions it takes, how much trial and error it takes, and blood, sweat, and tears. And to literally translate that type of concept, right, and that kind of philosophy onto a video game, but to also go way far and way beyond to a point to where you're trying to counter things that you can't even see coming at random times, and to be like consistent at it for years in order to accomplish something like this, is something that definitely, in my humble opinion, deserves the tip of the hat. If you've played Ninja Gaiden 2 Vanilla, the original Ninja Gaiden 2 on the Xbox 360, you should know very well firsthand just how hard this game is. And if you're able to pick up the game, whether it's on Xbox Live, I think you can still find it on Xbox Live. Don't go for the Master Ninja Collection, because those are the Sigma versions of the game, which are easier. Don't go for that. Look up Ninja Gaiden 2, for the Xbox 360, because that's what it was released on exclusively. So look for that. And I'm not sure about Steam. I haven't really done a Steam search. I don't think so. The only thing I think that's available is the Master Ninja Collection. But if you go, last time I checked, if you actually go on your Xbox Live store and you type in Ninja Gaiden 2, you should be able to find the box art, and therefore the game. That is the vanilla version. So if you really want to challenge yourself to see just how hard this game really is, I recommend you play that. And if you actually beat the game on Master Ninja difficulty, now granted, not to this extent to where you not only don't die, but to where you don't take a single hit. If you actually beat the game legitimately on Master Ninja difficulty and you get through it, no matter how many times you die, etc., just know that the game was not expected to have 1,000 people, maybe at the most, beat the game that attempted such a feat. And if you do accomplish this, especially after seeing this video, or even if you did it at any point in time, you definitely deserve a tip of the hat. But this one here, this accomplishment here, is one of the most highly, forms of praise and respect that I can give to the person that accomplished this. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below in terms of the video itself, which was recorded from his live stream, obviously, and it was just under 8 hours, which is very impressive. So you got yourself a speed run, you got yourself kind of like a speed run thing going on, and at the same time you've got this incredible accomplishment, which I just spent the last few minutes, or should I say almost nearly 10 minutes if I'm looking at my recording properly, describing. So So Seraphim 17, and again, I hope I pronounced that properly. I tip my hat to you, man. I tip my hat to you. I salute to you. And quite frankly, watching this footage actually makes me want to actually stream this game and play it on the normal difficulty level and maybe even get through it, and then, which I have done years ago, and then actually attempt to do it on the harder and harder difficulty levels just to kind of challenge myself, to be honest. And thankfully for me, I've got an Xbox Series X, so I know I can find it on that, and all I have to do is hook it up and go from there. But yeah, I tip my hat to you, man, and I think this is one of the greatest accomplishments and records in gaming history. So with that being said, what is your, for those of you guys watching, what is your proudest moment in gaming? What is the hardest game that you've ever played? What do you consider the hardest gaming accomplishment that you've ever done? Whether it was single player games, whether it was multiplayer games, whatever it was, what do you consider? And of course, if you've seen anybody else do something impressive in any game that you know of, what have you personally seen that is the most impressive thing to you? So with that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.